What is up, guys? Chase Oliver 68 here, bringing you my Raw review for August 20th, 2012. But before I start this review, go check out Famous Team WWF 2001. Talk to him. He asked for a plug. I said, why not? I'll give you a plug. If you guys ever want a plug from me, you just have to ask, and that's that simple. But anyways, let's kick off Monday Night Raw. Raw kicked off in a weird fashion. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman came out, and they were bragging how they kicked Triple H's ass. And, I would brag if I kicked Triple H's ass. I mean, how many people can say they've kicked Triple H's ass in this recent era? Not a lot, besides Undertaker. But, they were just kind of bragging about it. Like, Heyman was doing all the talking. He was saying, like, I called it. I said he was going to tap out. All this other shit. And they wanted to invite the referee, Scott Armstrong, to the ring. And I was like, are they going to beat up Scott Armstrong? It's like, what the hell? And so Scott Armstrong comes to the ring, and, Paul Heyman's like, okay, I had 2 words to say to Triple H. And Lesnar, he has 2 words to say to you, Scott. And so it looks like Scott, he's like all scared. He's like, fuck, man, what did I do to deserve this, man? It's not my fault that this happened. And, he just kind of walks into the ring, and, like, he's in the corner, and then Lesnar touches him, and he's like, good job. That's all he says. He says, good job. And Heyman calls Lesnar, like, the king of kings, the best wrestler today, and all this other shit. And that ends the promo. And this really does hype up, Brock Lesnar. And you know what I thought was funny? WWE earlier tonight, after this segment actually, they announced on commentary, make sure you guys use the hashtags legend or legendary to describe Triple H. And I was like, wow. And for all you those that are thinking this is Triple H's last match, and I'll go into this when I talk about the HBK segment, this isn't going to be his last match. Come on, guys. We know better. This is just a way to get people to care more for Triple H and get behind him. You know that. Come on. It's just all a ploy. Our first opening match was Kofi Kingston, R-Truth, and Sin Cara facing off the primetime players and Cody Rhodes. And this 6-man tag match, I thought it was pretty good. There was nothing really too exciting to write home about. It kind of went a little bit longer than I thought it should, but it did okay. Obviously, they're doing a Sin Cara and Cody Rhodes feud in the near future, and I guess maybe it will have to involve Sin Cara's mask. Hey, we did it with Rey Mysterio a couple times in the past. Why not do it with Sin Cara? The mask is always something important in Lucha Libre wrestling, so why not? Why not? And, the ending comes because, R-Truth and Kofi Kingston take out the primetime players outside doing, like, cool moves. And then afterwards, like, Cody Rhodes looks like he has Sin Cara in trouble. And he tries to take off the mask. It's like, why aren't you hitting, like, the Crossroads or the Beautiful Disaster? And then Sin Cara gets a nice little move on Cody Rhodes for the pin. And the face team wins, and we move on. So we get backstage segment, and AJ Lee, she's just doing her usual shit, like moving her head around, like, what are you doing? And all of a sudden, I started marking out, David Otunga came back. I'm like, yes! David Otunga! And I didn't know he was filming a WWE movie. So, congrats to David Otunga for, filming his movie. I'm glad that he got a movie role. I like David Otunga. And so David Otunga was, like, suggesting, like, oh, yeah, I can be, like, your lawyer. I have a Harvard law degree. If anyone calls you crazy, and then he said that word. And then AJ's like, you have a match tonight against an opponent of your choice. So, really what this interview was to use for was that, Matt Striker was going to ask AJ, because CM Punk on Tao announced that he wants to announce who he think his number 1 contender should be. And AJ Lee said, yeah, I'll let CM Punk choose his number 1 contender as long as it goes by me okay. So, pretty much, CM Punk's choosing his number 1 contender later tonight. Up next, we get Ryback. Feed me more. Feed me more. And he was facing 2 jobbers, and he was kicking their asses. Jinder Mahal came out, attacks Ryback, and Ryback wins by disqualification. And then Ryback, pretty much clears house with Jinder Mahal. He reverses Mahal's, camel clutch, and then he starts clearing house, and then he grabs the 2 jobbers and he hits his finisher, like a double finisher on the 2 jobbers. That was cool. Good job for Ryback there. So we get this backstage segment, and then on Tout, I don't really follow Tout that much, but Chris Jericho and Dolph Ziggler, they were arguing back and forth, and Dolph Ziggler, I guess he wants a rematch from SummerSlam because Dolph Ziggler lost. And then out comes AJ, and AJ just didn't like the noises. They were screaming too much, and so She said that she's going to raise the stakes for tonight's match. Jericho, if you lose tonight, you're going to not be in the WWE anymore. And Ziggler, if you lose tonight, you lose your money in the bank to Chris Jericho. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's a cool concept. I wish it kind of went to pay-per-view. But okay, yeah, why not? I mean, Jericho has to promote Fozzy anyways. We all know that. So, why not? Hopefully it's a good match, right? Well, we'll find out later tonight when I talk about it. And we move on to the next segment, which is Alberto Del Rio. Del Rio is just upset because, he lost the World Heavyweight title match. And Del Rio has a right to be upset because of the way he lost. But then AJ Lee comes out and says, oh, I don't have powers over the World Heavyweight Championship. That's a whole Booker T's job. But what I'm going to do, since you're already in your ring attire, I'm going to give you a match. And you all know who came out. Randy Orton came out, and let's just talk about how glistening Randy Orton looked and how bullshit it was that he wasn't at SummerSlam. But actually, the match itself, I actually thought this match was pretty good. I was afraid that they were going to do like Alberto Del Rio versus Santino again. I didn't care about that matchup, but I'm glad they did Orton versus Del Rio. And Sheamus was out during commentary, and things Sheamus were saying was it almost felt like Sheamus was a heel. And I'm praying to God. I am praying to God. I love my Randy Orton. You guys know that. I love Orton. I'm a huge Orton fanboy. But this face Orton, I love him. He's just not doing my ring boner justice. If I want a full ring boner while watching Randy Orton, I need to see him as a heel again, really. And it just comes down to that. I will still love my boy. I'll still cheer on. I will still get the baby oil ready. You guys can see that I'm glistening because I have to apply the baby oil before the review. But, I want to see him as heel. And if they're going to turn Sheamus heel for Orton, good luck with that shit. That's all I got to say. We already saw that once, and look how that turned out. So we come back from commercial break, and surprisingly enough, we get Brodus Clay versus Damian Sandow. And, oh yeah, fuck, I forgot to say. Randy Orton won the match against Del Rio because Del Rio got distracted. Del Rio was going to win the match because he hit the backcracker, but then Sheamus, tattled on him because Orton had his foot on the ropes, and, Del Rio got freaked out, Orton RKO'd, and then Orton gave the death stare to Sheamus. Sorry, I forgot to talk about that. But now going to Brodus Clay versus Damian Sandow. My apologies once again. Brodus Clay versus Damian Sandow. Surprised that this is not, on a pay-per-view. And I just got to say, the crowd was dead. I don't think they gave two shits about this. I think they were saying, shit, can this shit get over with? We don't care about this. And it clearly showed that no one cared about, this matchup. And if they were given more TV time, they've been giving good TV time, but I think if they were given more TV time besides just them having a match, it would get more, reaction from the crowd. But the crowd just didn't seem to care, which disappointed me because this was a feud that I thought could really help both guys. But yeah, whatever. Brodus Clay just beats up Damian Sandow. Sandow gets a smart little roll up on Brodus Clay, and then afterwards Brodus Clay attacks him. So I don't think the feud is almost over. I don't think it's over yet. I think they're gonna still continue it on, but I hope to get a legit finish to this feud and hopefully more out of this feud than what I saw tonight, because tonight was just kind of disappointing about this feud for me. And yeah, Clay chants with the crowd. Next up was, to me, the highlight of the night, Shawn Michaels promo segment. This Shawn Michaels promo segment almost felt like, if you guys watch football, you guys know one of Brett Favre's retirement speech, and I'm talking about more of the one where he lost to the New York Giants with the Green Bay Packers, when he was talking about, what it would be like to once again, be on the grandest stage and all this other stuff. And Shawn was really going in deep. He was selling the arm injury. He was live via satellite. They were hyping it up the whole night. And he was talking about, Triple H as a friend and everything. And he was going really, really in depth, trying to sell Triple H, talking about how Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, they're not men. Triple H is the biggest man he knows. And he said that he feels guilty that he never told Triple H, you can't beat Brock Lesnar. Your career is done. And he feels like that Triple H never knew when to give up, and he wished that he kind of told his friend and never got him into this pain that probably Triple H is feeling. Now, this was a really good segment. Now, I just don't want Triple H to come back up there. That was such a heart-touching segment, and it really was a really great segment. So, It's like, is this just a way for us to feel bad for Triple H and then for him to just come back and say, "I'm facing you again, Brock Lesnar"? I don't care, man. Like, if it was Triple H's last match against Brock Lesnar and he went out like that, I'm fine with it. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, it was an anticlimactic future for Triple H, or anticlimactic of how it ended, but, the way that they made it, it seemed like Shawn was just saying Triple H needs to give up, and if it's just going to be a way where Triple H comes back, faces Brock Lesnar, and beats Brock Lesnar, it's just like, why? I mean, I'd be fine if Triple H came back and then lost again, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, let's just let Triple H's career finally be over. I mean, I've been watching this guy since, like, fuck, man, since I was a little kid in, like, 99, man. I've been watching this guy since I was, like, 6 years old. And I'm now, like, 19 years old. 13 years I've been watching Triple H. And there's guys that are older than me that got into wrestling longer than me that have been watching Triple H when he was, like, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Or, not even called Triple H, just called Helmsley. Like, really, to be honest, it's just like he had a long, good career. I've always been a huge Triple H fan at heart. The little kid inside of me will always be a Triple H fan. But if they're gonna hype this up as the end of his career, I just hope it is the end of his career, and hopefully we get some closure from Triple H in the coming weeks where he comes out and he officially announces his retirement. So remember how David Otunga got in trouble backstage last night? Yeah, neither did I. But you're supposed to remember in like the 2 hours that it happened. So David Otunga faced the Big Show, and it's like, huh? What, isn't Big Show a heel? And the fans were reacting to him as a face, and Big Show pretty much beat the shit out of Otunga, won the match. I was kind of pissed off because I wish they would have done better with David Otunga. Why can't David Otunga be the assistant? That'd be nice. I would like that. It would add more mixture to the GM thing. And afterwards, they had a really good, like, SummerSlam video package. It was really cool. I liked it. Where Big Show was like screaming, he was pissed off, and he made out so many points where it was like, yeah, dude, that's true. It was like, it was a handicap match. I was taking all these moves. These guys didn't work as hard. When am I ever going to get a one-on-one match? And I'm like, yeah, when is Big Show going to get his one-on-one match? Because really, to be honest, if you're going to go by like based off like facts and stuff that they're saying in the WWE, Big Show worked his ass off in that SummerSlam match. So I don't know. Big Show won. Moving on. So there was a tag team match hyped up earlier tonight. It was Zack Ryder and Kane versus The Miz and Daniel Bryan. Now the whole point was to continue the Daniel Bryan and Kane feud, saying they're going to work their anger management out of each other by teaming up with guys that they used to hate. And so it was like, okay, so pretty much this match was focused around Kane and Daniel Bryan, not Miz and Zack Ryder. These two were just there. And to be honest, I thought, wow, this is a perfect opportunity to set up Zack Ryder to once again be featured on WWE TV and maybe a feud with The Miz. I love it. Did I get that? Oh, hell no. It was just focused around Kane and Daniel Bryan, which I'm fine with, but couldn't you give Zack Ryder a little bit of a rub? Maybe pinning The Miz and setting up IC title, make SmackDown a little bit more watchable? Zack Ryder's still popular. I believe he is. And Daniel Bryan pretty much, slaps Kane, runs away. Kane gets upset, beats up Zack Ryder, beats up the timekeeper, and we didn't even get an ending to this match. So WWE was like, oh, let's have a number one contenders battle royal for the Divas title because there's Night of Champions. And the winner was Caitlyn, and I was surprised that Caitlyn won, to be honest. But I do like Caitlyn. She's someone different in the Diva scene, but isn't she a face? So it's kind of weird, a face and a face. Whatever. Oh, yeah, there was a tout announced that Brock Lesnar quit the WWE. Like, LOL, who believes that shit? No one does. We all know he hasn't quit yet. Come on, man. 1 year, $5 million. We all know that. Come on. Maybe he did quit. No, he didn't quit. So we had a contract versus contract match. Dolph Ziggler versus Chris Jericho. You can see I'm lost on words because I'm trying to think about my true feelings of this match. In all honesty, not as good as their SummerSlam match. Okay action. Near the end, it was kind of getting a little bit too sloppy. It was kind of getting a little bit sloppy there. I'll be the one to admit it because I know most people won't. But it was getting a little bit sloppy, and I kind of wish Jericho locked in the walls of Jericho so that way, it could show if Dolph is tough enough to survive it, but that didn't happen. And Dolph Ziggler won because of the zigzag. And Jericho attacks him like a heel, hits him with a briefcase a couple times after stealing it, and it was like, okay. And now a lot of people are like, oh, well, Jericho's gone. And it's like, well, Jericho's going to come back. We all know that. It would be cool if they finish up this feud where Ziggler is actually, the World Heavyweight Champion. And they have a match for the world title. That'd be cool. I think that would be a nice feud. And, maybe Ziggler's first title defense is against Jericho. Then we move on to the main event segment, which was CM Punk. Now, CM Punk, he had a segment earlier on in the night where he said that he would announce his number one contender. That number one contender ended up being the obvious choice. Everyone knew it. You guys could tell. It was... if you guys did not know who he was going to choose, I worry about you guys. I seriously worry. He chose John Cena. It was obvious. I knew that it was going to be Cena. I mean, Night of Champions is in Cena's hometown. It makes sense. So, CM Punk, comes out to the ring, and he goes to Jerry Lawler, and he's still mad about that WWE Universe shit. And I'm like, oh, okay. Don't really see the reason why you're still mad on that. I mean, it's been 2 weeks, I guess. And then, Cena came out, and then, CM Punk, he talked about how, he's been the WWE champion for 9 months. He hasn't been getting respect. He says that he goes through airplanes, and, everyone's like, hey, champ, good match, but why weren't you the main event? And then Punk said, I'm always the main event. I just respect John Cena, blah, 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 that type of shit. Talking about respect. And then Cena retaliates back, and I think many people won't give Cena some credit for this promo just because they hate Cena so much. But can we put bias aside and kind of, be fair? If you're going to do a review on here, I say you be fair. I'm tired of all these biased fans, just coming on here saying what Punk is saying is true when, no one gives anyone else a chance. It just tires me when the fans don't give other wrestlers a chance to really, agree with them. Because Cena put on some good points too. And then Cena, talked about, how... You're right, Punk, you did beat me at SummerSlam last year. You beat me at Money in the Bank. And he was talking about how, he's not going to say you're the best in the world. Because CM Punk was like, if you want a championship match, you got to say I'm the best in the world. Cena wasn't going to say that. Cena was like, I'm not going to say you're the best in the world. Because you know what, Punk? Like you said, you want respect, you got to give me respect back. And then he was going on this really good, promo about talking about how CM Punk, you've been champion for 294 days. Congratulations. It's 9 months. I was champion for 87 days or some shit like that. Like that huge reign that he had in 2007. And he's like, I never came out here bitching about respect. I came down the ring and I kicked ass. And that's what Cena did when he was the 2007 champion. Let's face it, folks. I mean, there was no other options at that time. He did really do that. So, and then Cena made a point that I really thought was true, but kind of miscued a little bit because that people are kind of forgetting Alberto Del Rio's title reign. But then again, LOL, it's Alberto Del Rio's title reign. Like, who cares? He talked about, in your 294 days as champion, the only thing people really remember is you kissing goodbye at Vince McMahon. And I was like, that is so true. Because if you think about it, and I know, Cena, when he's been WWE champion, there hasn't been a lot of memorable moments, but CM Punk as WWE champion, it's kind of true. Most fans don't really talk about some of the memorable stuff. Yeah, they talk about the matches. Cool, the matches. But what are some of the moments that people are always going to remember in their minds of what CM Punk did as champion? There's really not a lot. And so Cena said, you know what? If you want respect, you want me to give respect, you have to learn what respect is and all this other shit. Cena walks away, and that's when Cena's part kind of died down. But he did, did a really good job at the promo. And then, Punk, what I liked about this was that he was turning his, face reaction that he was getting. He was turning his face reaction that he was getting and making a heel reaction towards him and making sure Cena got cheered. That is good. Fans are forgetting about that. They are being so blind towards that. Cena needs to be revealed as a face, and Punk needs to be revealed as a heel. Punk was doing a good job at turning the fans against him, and then he solidified it even more when he brought Jerry Lawler back out to the ring. Wanted an apology. Jerry was like, no, it was a misunderstanding. CM Punk was like, fuck you, kicks him in the head, and then afterwards just looks at him. Fans were booing, and this is how you end Raw. You have to end Raw where people are mad at CM Punk. You have to show the image that, yeah, CM Punk, he's being booed. And I'm glad CM Punk knows how to work the microphone well enough to get the fans to, support Cena. And I know a lot of fans were like, oh, Cena did kiss ass with the Fresno State football team. But he was using a really good sports reference there. Any city he would have been in, he would have used that fucking sports reference. Hell, I would have used that fucking sports reference. He could have been New York. He would have said the same thing about the New York Jets. No matter how much the New York Jets will suck, they will always support their team. Fans are like that. That's how a sports fan. If you're not a sports fan and you don't understand that, please get the fuck out, because it's true. So, I don't know. I just think so many people are so biased towards CM Punk now that it's just not fun to watch a little bit of professional wrestling when people are just so biased towards Punk and not really giving Cena credit. I thought both men did good tonight. This was another good segment of Raw. Not as good as the Shawn Michaels segment. I thought the Shawn Michaels segment was a little bit touching, especially with me growing up with Triple H. Kind of agreeing with some of the points that he has to say. But like I said, this was a good segment to end Raw, especially, like I said earlier, with CM Punk getting the face heat off of him, getting the face reaction off of him, turning to Cena so that way Cena could get the crowd reaction. Very good job by CM Punk there. CM Punk did a good job tonight. And Cena did a good job, and Jerry Lawler did his part well. Overall, Monday Night Raw, there's only really, the ending of the show, the second, midway through the second hour to the ending segment was, the best parts. The earlier part of the show was just kind of meh. The Brock Lesnar segment, yeah, that was okay, I guess, but to be honest, it was, to me, Monday Night Raw this week once again felt okay. It didn't feel anything special. It didn't say, oh my god, I gotta watch it. There's only 2 segments that made me feel like that. I really think WWE should take into what TNA is doing in announcing some matches, a week ahead of time so I can get more amped up for, WWE Raw. Overall, I thought Raw was okay. I would give it a C+. What do you guys think about Monday Night Raw? Comment down below your thoughts. Subscribe if you like this video. All that other razzmatazz. Twitter at ChaseOliver68. Second channel, CO Live Videos, and I will be uploading there soon enough. Thank you all for watching. I know this was long, but there's some stuff I want to get off my chest. Peace!